slightest chance of changing the path in which our world is taking slow. It makes sense that the smallest little voice can make the loudest noise. And if they try to tell me my own fate, I'll turn it around, won't hesitate. What's the point of tomorrow if it's a future missing you?
Bring it on, cause I'm just gonna grow up in the battle A. Gonna let the darkness keep on burning my fire. Ain't nobody gonna stop me. I gotta stop this nightmare, because I'm dreaming of my future. Past, future, present is the world that we live in. I ain't scared of my past, because tomorrow keeps approaching fast. I'm screaming out from my pride.
Now I need you to wipe away your tears. The time has come to face our fears. To know
I'm never falling down, I'll keep on sailing. Now this is my destiny.
defy the world to make you smile. If it keeps What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the CCS for some Wednesday Platinum action as Akuma Shurikens takes on CB Rush in this Power Week 4 matchup. I'm Rye Chance. I'm joined by a new face to the CCS here, Mr. Bob Joseph. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited for some good League of Legends games today. Um, these teams are pretty close in the rankings, so this game should matter for playoff contention as we get towards the later half of the season. It's going to be pretty exciting matchups. A lot of these players play some interesting picks, and I know the sort of shakeups of the more recent patch, sort of most of everything is playable. Like there's a lot going on in the meta right now, so it'll be interesting to see these two teams' takes on it.
Yeah, absolutely here. And before we get into the actual draft, we do have some pro comps, comp builder, and analysis from last week's Akuma Shurikens matchup. So we're seeing here we got an Aatrox, Jarvan, Zeri, Ezreal, and Leona composition rounded out for them. And you know, what kind of major points are you seeing here?
Yeah, this draft is really interesting to look at because the engage is just so powerful. It's one of the most potent comps you can go for right now. The Jarvan and the Leona together have such a strong engage, and then the follow up damage from the consistent damage carries of the Ezreal and the Zeri, and Aatrox really just creating space for those carries to work. It's a really good comp, and you see that if you look at the game style that our comp builder is looking at here, engage is the peak of it, right? You get that from the Leona, from the Jarvan, fantastic points, and the Aatrox and the rest of the team can follow up so well.
Yeah, absolutely. Engage is the name of the game for this composition. And, you know, I know that Zeri mid is something that we're not seeing as much just due to the W nerfs. But they did opt to go with it this game. What do you feel about that pick right now?
Yeah, so I think the Zeri, even though it takes the nerfs, it's still very potent as that sort of high power scaling champion. Once it gets some items on its belt, it doesn't really matter if it took a small nerf to the damage because the damage was so large before that it's still like solid now. A portion of that damage being taken away doesn't matter that much. And with the Ezreal following up, sort of weakening the targets beforehand, there's so much poke coming out that once the engage from this comp does hit, you can't survive.
Yeah, definitely. And then also just checking out the attribute requirements here. We do see that there is some single target damage. Obviously, you know, that could be an issue later on in the game, but with this engaged sort of composition here and the Ezreal, you know, Ezreal's a single target champion, right? You have the Mystic shots can only hit one person. True shot barrage can do damage to, you know, over the top to a lot of people, but I mean, I think that is sort of one downfall of this team is that, you know, they don't have that much AoE, and in the meta right now and just kind of how games seem to be going, that AoE and like team fight presence is pretty important, I would think.
Yeah, so this comp definitely would struggle against something that has a tank that can sort of soak up that single target focus damage that we're talking about here. But in a draft where you find that first target, there isn't that frontliner to sort of absorb the single target damage. That single target damage is just going to kill the target. And then you're in a 4v5 and you're in a great position for a team fight. So yeah, this draft, fantastic in those games where you don't have to worry about a beefy frontliner, a large tank creating the space, and that single target damage is really going to stick.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I think that Pro Comps is a super awesome tool here to get this insight on draft analysis and sort of these things that you wouldn't normally think about. Getting a different kind of perspective on what's actually happening in the draft. And you know, with that being said, I think we're gonna get into this draft for game number 1. We're getting a ready check. So we're waiting for CB Rush still, but again, big shout out there. If you guys have not used Pro Comps, make sure to check it out, and I'll go into that in a little bit. But nonetheless, we are waiting on these ready checks, and off we go.
Hopping into it with a Wukong ban on the first side. Are there any power picks that sort of stand out to you for Akuma or CB Rush? Is there anything that sort of seems like that must be banned that we have to see in this first three on the first three in this first ban phase?
Well, I know we saw CB Rush in week number 2, and crucially, they are missing out on their mid laner Rutledge, who is known as their captain. You know, pretty widely known, a big voice in this composition and this team. And I believe it was Frosty did a great job filling that role. But what I'm most looking for is Hunter Wolfsteal, because I remember this player from last year. Definitely a solid Hecarim player. We'll see if that
ends up being banned. But for now, it's just going to be Gwen taken away from Pip, which we also saw in week 2, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and with the current standings of Classic Championship Series, CB Rush is higher up, is higher rating. They're with that 2-1 match score as opposed to Akuma Shuriken's 1-2 match score. So they are coming as the favorites. But do you think not having Rutledge in today is going to make that difference? Would you favor Akuma because of that, or do you think that even still, even with that sort of penalty to their team, with their the substitute having to come in, do you think they're still going to be favored in this match?
No. I mean, well, now they're back to their normal
Oh,
roster. I was
that
talking
was last
about,
week.
yeah. I was talking
Okay.
about in the past, but and even then, I haven't seen
Mhm.
this comp or this team play with their full squad here. So I saw them kind of limited. I saw them with a handicap. 2 subs is a big difference. So I think that if CB Rush can bring it together and if they play how I'm expecting it, I think that they
Mhm.
do have a really good shot at this series.
CB Rush has kind of been held back by problems in the past, and
Kind of.
they're looking to this game. They need to make a statement so they can push for the top ranks. They need to start contesting Dorado, Iridescent for that first place spot in the group.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think they can do it. I mean, I absolutely think they can. This is a team that we've seen do pretty well. And, with Akuma, I have not casted any of their games so far this year, so I don't know as much about them, but they're going to go for this Leona first pick, and this is kind of reminiscent of what we saw last week from our Pro Comps comp builder.
Yeah, they must have priority on the Leona. Personally, I don't know if that's the most powerful champ. There's still things like Sivir available, even though she took some nerfs. The Zeri is available. These powerful AD carry champs that have been pretty high priority in other leagues. It seems like an Alistar to match Leona
Whoa.
coming out. So we're gonna have some brawls in the bottom lane, some tanky engage supports. This is the kind of support style that I like to see, that I like to play.
Oh, yeah.
Roaming, some brawls going on. It'll be a lot of early action. That's very interesting to see. The Alistar also receiving a buff on this patch, a little bit more a cooldown, so has that ability up more often. And Silas this early seems very.
Wow. Yeah, I'm definitely a little bit surprised by this early Silas pick. I mean, most oftentimes you're gonna see like the bot lane blind picked or the jungle blind picked for red 1-2. But Silas definitely an interesting look here. I'm not quite sure. I guess Rutledge just feels very confident on the champ. He feels like this is my safe pick, but it does beg the question, does Alive have something that can outscale or at least outpoke in the lane? And Kassadin is going to be the response.
Yeah, that's a really, really rough matchup for the Silas. I think with the
I think so
magic
too,
reduction
yeah.
that Kassadin has an ultimate that really is that good steal. We're just gonna slam a blind Darius here. People are confident in the champions that they play. Very
This is
exciting.
crazy.
There's going to be a lot of. Well, the Kassadin sort of wants to lean away from those early game fights, but the rest of these comps really just want to brawl it out, win their solo lanes, start getting some solo kills. And I think what's going to be really important to focus on here is where the junglers decide to go, because wherever the action is started, there's going to be a fight. There's going to be kills. There's set up for ganks. There's a lot of threat from this Leona, from this Darius, and this Xin Zhao being an early game jungler is going to support this a lot.
Yeah, now for CB Rush, you want to ban out junglers and AD carries here because Akuma has picked their solo lanes and support, which is, not something you see always. But Trundle, Poppy taken off the table as well. And, with this red 4 pick from CB Rush, I would have to assume that they take their AD carry and give their top lane counter pick.
It would make a lot of sense here. I would expect some AD carries to be banned here from these phases, but it looks like most of the power picks are still going to be open. But yeah, that 5th pick, counter pick to sort of round your team up with a top laner and potentially holding the Silas as a flex pick. It seems like both of these solo lane matchups that we are currently seeing from Akuma are going to be pretty rough for that Silas pick. So
Yeah.
most likely going to be just left in that mid lane like normal, and we're going to see a counter pick coming out for the Darius. That Sivir ban is, I think, very, very strong. So it'll be interesting to see what CB Rush thinks is that second best AD carry, with that being the only ban taking one off the table here.
Yeah, and oh wow.
I'm gonna wait till that gets locked in to start talking about it, but that's very interesting. If you're
Oh
blind to
wow.
pain,
Glacial. He
Oh,
does it. He
that-
blind picks the vein. This is wow. What a this is a
that
game.
is, it's very strong into this heavy melee comp. If you can keep the casted off, if you can maintain space from these meatheads, basically the Leona, the Darius, and potentially the Zac. If you could stay away from him, this Vayne is going to shred through this melee stack.
Yeah, but it also has to do with if is Caston going to be able to get ahead here, right? Because we know what happens when Caston makes it into the late game, is able to scale up, is just one-shotting everyone on the enemy team. And especially in a matchup against Silas, which is so favored
Mhm.
towards this Cassidon, you know, I have to think that Alive is going to have a pretty easy time playing this early game out, unless, Hunter Wolfsteal makes
I mean,
okay.
we took away the power pick, the Sivir, the safe AD carry, the wave clear, the late games carry, the sort of the scaling champions. So we're just gonna slam Vayne and Draven. We're just gonna play
Oh
early
my
game,
gosh.
coin flip,
We're
meatball
going
bottom
for it.
lanes that are hitting each other the entire game. These junglers' pathings, I think, are gonna be the most important thing to see as we hop into this match. Wherever this Zhao decides to go early, wherever this I think Zac is actually going to struggle here. So I think the big talking point is the mid lane 2v2 matchup between the mid laners and the junglers. Because I think Silas is in a losing lane versus Kassadin, but a Kassadin doesn't want to really exist anywhere near a Xin Zhao in the first 4, 5, 6 levels. Xin Zhao is going to absolutely ruin. So if CB Rush can put pressure on this mid lane and keep the Kassadin down, get Silas to a safe neutral point, so that he'll be able to fight the lane, even though it's an unfavorable matchup for him. I think that is the best plan of action for CB Rush, and the Zac is going to have a harder time sort of stifling that pressure coming out from the Zenzel.
Yeah, and I mean, also just thinking about what CB Rush wants to do as a composition here, it's gonna be on Hunter Wolfsteal to make these plays happen early. Especially in this, in this mid lane. I know that I've seen this top matchup before with the Set versus Darius,
Hmm.
and as weird as it sounds, I'm pretty sure that Set wins the auto attack battle against Darius at level 1.
Hmm.
So if if Pip is able to get Claymore off guard and catch him off guard and kind of start that auto attack off at level 1, it could be very good. But also this lane is super volatile top, so anything can happen at all times, and there's going to be a lot of action with these two ganking junglers.
Yeah, all of these lanes sort of balance on a knife's edge. If the Zin's out or the Zac can push it in either direction, it's going to be really, really hard for these laners to rein it back in by themselves. They're going to need their own jungler's assistance if the other jungler comes and sort of affects their lane. But the second that a jungler comes in and pushes that lane over the edge, a Draven with an advantage, a Kassadin with an advantage, or a Darius trying to just execute the enemy top laner, all of these characters are so strong on their own that once they get that advantage, it's just going to keep rolling.
Absolutely, and one last point about this CBRS team before we move over to Akuma is the Silas, right? We saw it R2 picked. Only thing that he saw was a Leona. And then if you look at the rest of the team, I mean, not the best ultimates to steal.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you kind of only have the value from this solar flare from Leona as the Silas soul value.
Yeah, so you get a decent damage ratio from that Leona ult, but you don't get the reset off of the Zac ultimate or off the Darius ultimate, so you don't really want to take that. The Draven ultimate doesn't have a great ratio for the Silas pick, so definitely the Zac and the Leona are going to be the most powerful ultimates for him to steal, and that's not really the game changer that you see Silas counterpicked for. Something like the Malphite we see a lot of the time, or other engaged characters. That's why you counterpick Silas, but a second pick just into that Leona, it will be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked. Do you have any points on Akuma's composition before we throw it into a break here?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is tracking the enemy jungler, giving Zac this time to farm for that level 4. Once he gets that level 4, he is a very potent ganking jungler. He will be able to get onto the pretty immobile enemy characters. You get the Vayne Tumble, and the set can cancel the Zac elastic slingshot. But once he gets a few points into that ability, he'll be able to make plays and get his Draven, get his Darius ahead. He only really needs to find one successful gank to get the Darius ball rolling or the Draven gold income flowing in.
Yep, absolutely there. So talked a little bit about each of these compositions. We're going to throw it to a break. But first, I got to give the official shout out to our sponsor, ProComps. ProComps is the first of its kind drafting tool aimed for competitive and solo queue play. ProComps allows users live feedback and analysis on drafting, giving them recommendations on picks, notes on matchups, and analysis on the enemy team's win cons. These features allow the user to gain an edge on their opponent and improve their drafting skills. Sounds pretty good, but you know what sounds better? You can use the code CCS for 50% off of your first 3 months of Pro Comps. So go get some Pro Comps, go get some water. We'll be right back before we get onto the riff for game number 1 between Akuma Shurikens and CB Rush. And we are back onto the rift for game number 1 between the Akuma Shurikens and CB Rush. On the red side for this game 1, CB Rush with Pip in the top lane on the set, Hunter Wolfsteal in the jungle on the Jin Zhao, Rutledge on the Silas in the mid lane, and the Glacial and Insanity rounding out the bottom lane with the Vayne and the Alistar.
And on the blue side for Akuma Shurikens, we got Claymore in the top lane, Skiko in the jungle, Alive in the middle lane on that Kassadin pick, Fahu and Stebby in the bot lane with this aggressive Draven Leona bot lane. We're going to look for a lot of action down there, and really, we're going to look for a lot of action around this Xin Zhao.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, for the time being, just a little bit of an early 5-point, trying to get some information out on the enemy teams. And, you know, you can see Hunter Wolfsteal already trying to start on this bottom side of the map. And for Skyko, looks like he's going to start on the top side. So mirror jungle paths, both junglers starting on blue. But you know what that means? At level 3, we're going to get some action all across the map.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see sort of the routes that these junglers look for. The Xin Zhao most likely not going to do a full clear, but is going to head towards that top side of the map, meaning that this Leona and this Draven are going to have the space to get aggressive onto the weaker early game bot lane for CB Rush. The cleanse and the exhaust down there definitely don't have the same kill pressure, and they're starting out with a push cheese.
It's a good ward. I like that ward there from Insanity, just to make sure, because this lane can swing really hard for Draven and Leona, you know, if they get that early advantage, little cheese, or successful cheese. But nonetheless, you know, for now, both of these junglers, it looks like Hunter Wolfsteal onto his 3rd camp. A little bit higher tempo than Skyko right now, which is kind of what you expect from the Jin Zhao over the Zac, you know, in the early game.
A little bit better leash coming out from those bottom laners as well. And I think it's interesting that they did get that ward killed, but they also got the wave pressure sort of pushing in the bottom lane. So they're going to be able to zone off a lot of these last hits. Draven Poke's going to be coming in. It's going to be a lot of pressure because they know that that jungler's heading to the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, and even, you know, with Vayne at level 1, it's pretty hard to kill those melee or those casters, especially when you have, you know, Draven and Leona looming over the top of those minions. So either way, you can see there's a slight CS advantage in favor of Faho in the bottom lane. But, you know, Hunter Wolfsteal's already made his way up into this top lane, and Rutledge and Alive are just kind of scrapping it out mid. What is going on here? They're looking for a dive.
Go
flash.
for the dive?
Flash forward and first blood, just like that. Pip, did he disconnect or something? I don't know what happened, but he's going to go down to the tower, and in the mid lane, Rutledge falls from that Skyko gank. So overall, it is going to be 2-1 in favor of Akuma Shurikens.
Yeah, Pip sort of accepting his death there, but it is such a large lead that they get, right? That Darius wants to be ahead early game, took the Ghost for that solo lane kill pressure. He's going to be down a massive amount because of that wave that was crashing in as they took that dive. It's now going to bounce back towards Pip's side, and Claymore is in a very rough position, is going to have to call for Skiko to come help him out, or he's going to not be able to lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, this is, like you said, a really, really bad situation now for this Darius, because Wave's going to be pushing back, and it's going to force Claymore to have to overextend to try and fix the wave. And with Hunter Wolfsteal still in the area, you know, it's never safe.
But one thing for Claymore is he does still have both of those summers. Pip had to use both on the dive. If he has the space, we see Xin Zhao walking up for a regank, he might be able to go for some kill pressure, but the regank will be brutal.
Yeah, here we go. Let's see if he can burn some of these summoners. This Claymore is going to get dashed on double hook under the tower, and a lot of damage on Hunter Wolfsteal. The Ghost is now popped, but there's not enough damage to take it back, as Hunter Wolfsteal is going to find the last hit on that kill, and bad goes to worse for Claymore in this top lane.
Yeah, this is going to get shoved over. He did pop that Ghost, so a lot of the kill pressure taken away. For Akuma side, though, while we were talking about that top side, they did get a kill onto the mid laner. They did get this Kassadin even further ahead, and once he hits that level 6, this Silas matchup is going to feel worse and worse for him. He'll start being able to trade aggressively. He'll get that tier set, and this sort of late game scaling prick that is the big threat against Glacial is going to be more and more apparent.
Definitely, and I do want to just highlight the fact that Rutledge actually does have about a wave of CS lead right now. in this lane, but Skyko back on the gank will force the flash out from Rutledge. So now a flashless Silas in the mid lane, and lucky enough the wave's going to be pushing back to him for the time being. But nonetheless, you know, Skyko already making his presence known in this mid lane.
And we sort of see the two sort of game plans, the conflicting styles that these teams are trying to play against each other. The Xin Zhao, the early game pressure, the turret dives almost on repeat in the top side of the map, versus Zach sort of just sitting around the Kassadin, trying to make sure that this Silas can't fight an aggressive lead, tries to keep the Kassadin relevant in the game, and it just keeps re-ganking this Silas.
He's back again as Rutledge goes in. He's gonna get knocked up. Flash. Gonna get slammed. No flash. Does take away the bounce time or the bounce time. But I think it's enough. Yeah, it is gonna be enough to get him out.
Yeah, coming in right before that Kassadin level 6. Maybe if they time that gank a little bit differently, they're able to get it done. But bot lane from CB Rush is able to get this crash in. Oh, he did still have the ignite up. Yeah, that would have done it. That would have.
That would have been it. That would have made things really bad for Rutledge. Would have missed out on the entire wave too from the crash. So, Hunter Wolfsteal now made his way into this bottom side of the map, and we might see some action.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able. It's very scary to try to go for this dive on a Draven. If you misplay, if you miss some CCs, that guy will take your entire health bar from underneath his turrets. So I expect to see him sort of back out here, go for the dragons. How are you feeling about dragons? Oh, but they're looking for it.
Here we go. Headbutt pull combo will force the flash of the Faho, but the stun comes through onto Sebi. Knock up as well. One more auto condemn. No. Oh, Glacial missing out on that kill by one auto there, and Pip and Claymore going back at it, as Pip does have the facilities to kill here with the Showstopper and the Ignite, but Claymore just healing up very effectively.
Yeah, in that top lane matchup, it's as we were talking about earlier, those two ganks, it's level 7 to level 5. It is so hard for the Starius to play, but he's picking up the waves as they come in. He's getting his level 6. He's looking for what he can find. And I'm more interested in what we're doing on this dragon. We are going to start stacking up that dragon. Do you think that... how do you feel about dragons in the current patch with the changes that they've sort of given to the early game stats? We're going for this all-in, though.
Rutledge versus Alive, taking away the cast, and ultimately the Ignite's going to be taken down on both sides. A huge heal from the Kingslayer. And Rutledge is victorious in the 1v1 as Alive will fall, and the rest of the squad for CB Rush make their way mid to help push this wave in. A huge turnaround from Rutledge.
Yeah, the early game Zach plays sort of give the Kassadin. He felt safe. He felt confident when he had the Zach standing behind him. Gets a little bit overconfident. Goes for this extended trade. And a big flank coming down to the bot side.
Oh, here we go as Hunter Wolfsteal and Insanity flashing with the headbutt pulverized combo exhaust is going to be used onto that Draven, and this is going to be a dead one as Glacial is going to find the last hit there. And, you know, down 20 CS, but was able to pick up that kill, so it does kind of help out this lane just a little bit.
Absolutely. That flash... Dragons, man. I love dragons. The early game stat changes, do you think it's sort of worth to go for this sort of stacking strategy? I know a lot of people were thinking that the best way to play until these early game changes were made was, okay, we'll give up the first two and we'll play the better scaling comp, but we're not scaling in the top side.
Claymore gonna get slammed down onto the ground. The flash haymaker from Pip just to make it flashy is going to be true. And another death for Claymore in this top lane. And, you know, I think that the dragon changes are like actually game changing because of the fact that they have so much more health now and they're so much harder to rush, because a lot of the times what was happening in this early game was you were rushing early dragons and you were able to, you know, get a lead from that, right? You push a wave in and you can just burst down the dragon, but now it requires a lot more setup, and we're going in again in this bottom lane. This Faho is going to be knocked up, taken down, as Hunter Wolfsteal is going to get credit for that one. Goes on a killing spree, and now Stebby trying to run for the hills, but the hills are not there.
Well, who cares about dragons? Who cares about analysis? We need to talk about these fights that are going on over and over again, and it seems like they're mostly coming up in CB Rush's favor. It looked like they were Stebby and Fahu. They haven't felt the pressure of the Xin Zhao as much in this lane, so they were trying to make an aggressive play, stop letting this Vayne catch up, stifle her a little bit more, but they timed it poorly. The jungle, the Hunter Wolf being in the bush, able to counter it, and make this bottom lane lead
Uh-oh.
completely vanish.
Oh no, Pip going at him again in this top lane. Oh, okay, missed the Iron Spike whip, but yeah, Claymore has to run away with his tail between his legs here. Who needs the dragons at this point? We're just killing them for CB Rush as they have a 3k gold lead now. Rutledge could be in trouble here. Is going to take away that Zac ultimate, and it's time to bounce. Alive is dangerously low as Kingstar's going to buy some healing time back, but Rutledge does not find, or he does find one rather.
Kingslayer's back up.
Skyko. Yeah, Skyko has to be careful and run because he can't win that 1v1 as Rutledge is king in this mid lane right now.
All of these lanes, like we were talking about before, being on a knife's edge, it seems like the Xin Zhao has completely flipped all of them in the favor of CB Rush. Every single lane getting ahead, getting solo kills, getting 1v2s, and we're even more action.
Yeah, I mean, oh, Skyko's trying it again here. I don't think you can kill the Silas though, man.
I mean, Rutledge is just styling on him, just walking out of that elastic slingshot.
Yeah, I mean, he does not care anymore. And this top lane matchup is a disaster for Claymore right now. So CB Rush firing on all cylinders. 4.5k gold up.
He's trying to ward.
Hunter Wolfsteal is going to find Claymore. Flashing for fun. Wind does not become lightning.
We're pushing every button for that kill. We do not care. This top lane outer turret gonna fall down, gonna be the first tower of the map, and it's gonna be something like a 5, probably 6,000 gold lead once it falls down.
At 12 minutes.
At 12 minutes. And listen, I understand Kassadin's a good scaling champion, but I think this might be a little too much to give over in the early game.
Yeah, I don't know if Kassadin can scale this hard here as... You know, Alive does have to run away from Hunter Wolfsteal in this mid lane, but you know, we were talking about how much Hunter Wolfsteal had to actually do in this early game and the opportunities that he had to sort of swing this game into CB Rush's favor. And we're just seeing a complete out tempo in jungle, right? Hunter Wolfsteal, you know, 6 KP versus the 1 KP from Skyko, playing the Xin Zhao very, very effectively, and you know, you're seeing that in the scoreboard.
Yeah, and he's just so strong at this point. He can do whatever he wants. He's going to start invading these camps over and over again. That small CS lead that the Zac has is going to start vanishing as these outer turrets fall down and the vision control comes in. They might look for a dive here.
Oh, here we go. On to Alive, but it's bounce time. As Hunter will still taking pretty low with the Ignite taking down as well, and the shutdown's going to go over to Alive, but Alive will be traded back as Rutledge goes on a killing spree, still trying to get after Skyko for all of those ganks, but again, there will be no kills resulting from that, but Stebby going in, going to get condemned back as Solo is going to find one Glacial. Flashing away, one more auto should be enough to go on a killing spree as Fahu now is in danger. Cleanse is not going to do anything, I don't think, but nonetheless here, it's going to be a double kill for Glacial, and if that goes to worse for this bottom lane for Akuma, Skyka has to run away as Claymore's going to fall, and it's 13-3. It's all CB Rush still.
Akuma are still trying to make plays. They're still looking for aggressive stuff into the bot lane, but the cleanse coming out, the flash coming out, the summer spell still available on the Vayne. They're able to turn around and pick up 2 more kills in the bot side. The Kassadin, still a threat, level 9, down 2 levels here. Not as strong as he wants to be, but picking up that 700 gold bounty is going to be really important to him. If he can pick up 1 or 2 more that are still out on the map, the Kassadin will be a threat. There is still a way for Akuma to get back into this game, and it is through that mid lane. It's through Alive.
You're out to hear something sad.
Tell me something sad.
Glacial's backing with 1 stack on the Cole.
That is a tragedy. We find a Gromp, we find a ward. Oh, we're staying. We're staying.
We're staying. As Stebby. Oh no, Stebby. Gonna use the flash to try and get out. Wind does not become lightning, but 4 members of CB Rush in this bottom lane should mean the second dragon of the game, which is the Mountain, should go in their favor. Just like everything else in this game, it seems.
Yeah, it's definitely seeing like it's going to be CB Rush favored, and this face check is going to be favored for them too. He's very deep though. Rutledge a little bit overextended, but there's not any damage threat nearby.
The solar flare as now Hunter will still going to go over the wall. Stabby's going to go golden, but only delay the inevitable as Rutledge now unstoppable on this Silas Pip. Just being a menace in this top lane. Claymore cannot even walk up to the wave because he's getting half health chunked.
And that's the problem with top lane, right? It's the island. Junglers don't come up here except for the early game. And once you fall behind, you just keep falling in a solo kill coming out. And speaking of falling, we're diving at the bot side. Zac's trying to help, but he's not going to be able to stop it. The Draven going down again, and this Vayne is 5-0.
Yeah, I mean, in a lane that you should. Oh, Rutledge going back in under the tower doesn't find the solar flare, but you know, it's the thought that counts. Rutledge
Well,
feeling confident, just looking to
maybe
dive.
thinking that the Cassidy disconnected alive, just lost his mouse right there, wasn't going to press the R key. But this jungle is, it doesn't
Did he
belong.
take it? Oh, he stole the red. Hunter Wolfsteal. What are we doing here? Stebby, goodbye. Oh, okay. Everfrost finds the mark there with the CC. And yeah,
As
10K
we
gold
see
lead
these
at 15
outer
minutes.
turrets falling down, this jungle does not belong to Akuma anymore. CB Rush can run in, take whatever they want, and take the kills on the way through too.
Yeah, this is. I mean, this is a stomp. This is a slaughter.
It is 10,000 at 16. They're looking for an engage here,
Oh.
but you don't have the damage. They just killed the
last
turret.
shot. Yeah, turret goes down. Rutledge now just doing a lot of damage alive, trying to find Hunter Wolfsteal's Ignite's taking down. Hunter Wolfsteal's going back in, but there is enough CC as Rutledge is godlike with a double kill on this Silas. The Rift Herald's getting pinged, and you know, I would imagine that CB Rush is going to be able to close this game out pretty quickly.
CB Rush is running out of objectives on the map to take. Like all the dots are gone. Everything is just they're just doing whatever they want. And in a solo queue game, this is where I'd expect the Silas to start picking up items like Magi's and just going on killing sprees throughout this jungle. Oh,
there it
we
is.
got the Dark Seal. We're on our way. We're on our way. Get a couple stacks on that, and then head for the Dark Seal. There also, if we want to get back into some analysis, there are some Herald changes, right? That second Herald is and it looks like we're going to have plenty of time for analysis.
He said top something in the chat. That was the call for the pause.
Yeah.
Was top something. Okay.
Well,
Fair enough.
While something happens, we could talk about the Rift Herald changes. How do you feel about the second Rift Herald being a more important objective with the health changes on the objective?
I mean, I think it actually is pretty cool. I think second Rift Herald for a long time was just kind of like the redheaded stepchild and no one really cared about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we are back in. We're going to get a little freeze, but that's just how the pausing works. So don't be alarmed. Hunter Wolfsteal.
I mean, you should be alarmed if you're Claymore.
Yeah, Claymore should be alarmed here. Uh-oh, Rutledge going on to Fahu. One more.
The 1v2
is enough. Oh, he takes the whirling death and is going to find the kill with that. Legendary Rutledge taking 2. There's the freeze.
There's the pause.
It's
Everything
coming back
fine.
soon.
Hold.
Just, hold on. All right, now we're back. Is Pip
Back to the boss
back to the
side.
bottom lane. Rutledge going for this 1v3. Skyko. Whoa. Skyko should fall. And there it is. The triple kill 1v3 for Rutledge. Herald spawned into this top lane to crash. First crash is going to be on the inhibitor tower here. That's going to mean at least an inhibitor.
Yeah, and those Rift Herald changes, they make it a lot better at ending games like these. Remember, with 10,000 ahead, normally you'd have to wait a couple more minutes, grab a Baron, but this will absolutely knock down the base.
Yeah, and if it gets the charge in, oh, it doesn't get the charge in.
Doesn't get the charge.
It almost one-shots the entire Nexus Tower, but Stebby going in. But it's going to get instantly set, ulted back. Claymore's going to fall as well. Fahu running for the hills is alive and joined the party. Oh, there we go. Beautiful usage of the Crescent Guard by Hunter Wolfsteal to block out that Zac engage. And 4 members strong of CB Rush in the enemy base. They're going to try and end the game now, I think, with this wave coming in top.
And that was one of the problems we were talking about. Even if they get to team fight, Akuma's comp is going to struggle with the engages because Elastic Slingshot is a very, very powerful engage tool, but every single member of CB Rush has a way to cancel that ability. Every single one can stop that Elastic Slingshot mid-flight. So if he's not on a flank, if he's not hidden from vision, he's going to have a hard time walking straight at this team and engaging.
And even if you're not on vision, you still have that, that red circle on the ground, which shows where you're going to jump to. So 2 inhibitors down for Akuma already, and we're just passing the 19-minute mark in this game.
Yeah, this is a very difficult comeback. Not a lot of wave clear coming out from Akuma's side. They took their risk. They said in draft, okay, we're going to pick these very, very scary lanes. We're going to pick an engage support immediately. We want to play aggressive, and when you fall behind, when you draft like that, it looks like this, right? It's not, we're going to lose slowly. We're going to try everything. We're going to keep fighting, and we're going to try to find a way back in. And sometimes you just can't manage to find that way back in.
Yep, and almost 16k gold lead right now as we're about to hit this 20-minute mark. Third dragon of the game is going to spawn. It's going to be an infernal. And you have to imagine that after this dragon, CB Rush is just going to run it down mid T1 style and try to end this game with relative quickness.
Yeah, I don't expect this game to be lasting more than another couple minutes. What are we at? More than 16,000 gold lead about? That's pretty good. That's a couple of items. The Magi's did come out for Rutledge here, as you're saying, the team leader, the confident leader. They're gonna just tap this one in.
Yeah, should be able to tap this one in pretty easily here, as you know, you got super minions crashing on your side waves or side lanes, and you know, 5 members strong. CB Rush gonna look to just try and take this out. This tier 2 is gonna fall, and you know, pretty clinical, I would say, from them as a team.
Yeah,
we'll see if we get a fight.
But they've got a lot of dives right here with the Alistar.
Estebi is just getting one-shotted off the bat alive. He's going to get exhausted. He's next on the menu as he should fall as well. Claymore, the third, as Fahu getting flashed on by Rutledge. 4 dead for Akuma. Shurikens, they're running past the Nexus towers, but the minions cannot. The minions are slamming the towers, and this is going to be the game. Just over 21 minutes as CB Rush takes the win in game number 1.
Yes, a great game from CB Rush here. I think Hunter Wolf definitely the MVP. Got every single lane on the map ahead. Mid lane, it took a little bit longer, but got Rutledge there at the end, ending that game with 12 kills. Honestly, fantastic performance from across the board, and I'm excited to see what sort of draft shakeups. Is Akuma going to go for that aggressive strategy to match again, or are they going to say, okay, we'll give you guys some space, and we're going to try to scale past you?
Yeah, and I mean, only time will tell. But for now, we're going to take a short break before we get into the draft for game number 2. Will CB Rush be able to take the series in 2-0 fashion, or will Akuma push it to a game 3? We'll find out shortly. And we are back for the pick and ban for game number 2 between CB Rush and Akuma Shurikens. CB Rush taking game 1 in very dominating fashion. So, I guess the question that I have to pose to you is, what can Akuma do? What can they change to get back in this series?
I think that the disadvantage that Akuma had in that game, it all stemmed from the early game pathing of that Zinzao we were talking about. That early game pressure threatening jungler. And so the two main things that I would say, the biggest things that I would change is, one, you want to get Wolf off of that early game pressure jungle. You want to get him away from a Zen Zhao, probably something like a Jarvan. Those things are very threatening for those early game ganks. But if he does get his hands on one, if he gets you ban him off the first couple and get him on a lower tier champion, the next most important thing is to get early game vision. They just 5-pointed last game, but if they got in, they get a ward near that enemy Wraith camp, they get information on how he's routing, then their top laner can be ready for that 3-minute gank, and the sort of domino effect that came from that play, from that early game kill on the Darius, you can avoid that going into the future. So I really think Akuma, they need to play a little bit more of aggressive invade early game to try to get vision, not even a kill, but just invade for vision. And that will help them sort of stall out the pressure. And Rutledge is very, very confident on this Silas, as we saw in that last game. Taking that Cassidy matchup that we thought wasn't very good, and 1v2ing, styling, getting a Magice by the end of the game. So definitely confident, definitely worth that blind first pick on the blue side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we'll see what Akuma wants with it. Cassidy didn't work out too well last game, but they have a lot of time to figure it out, I guess. They have 5 picks to figure out what this mid lane wants to play. And interestingly enough, though, Skyko is going to take away this Hecarim in the jungle. So Hunter Wolfsteel is not going to be able to play that this game. I will say it was open last game, but was not picked by them, by CB Rush. So it's going to pair it up with the Karma. And we didn't talk about the bans, but same bans as last game, Wukong, Camille, and Gwen taken off the table by Akuma Shurikens, and Aatrox, Ornn, Kindred taken away by CB Rush.
Yeah, and when we're talking about this blind pick, first pick Silas, they get the Xin Zhao again too to pair with it. This Silas, you have no control over the ulti get to steal. The entire draft is in Akuma's hands, so they get to hand select what they want to give over to that Silas. And the Hecarim ulti is a pretty dangerous tool. So very interesting to see that pick. Definitely a takeaway from Hunter Wolf there. But I like the idea of this Karma a lot better. When you have that sort of rough early game and you see that they're going to try to play the same aggressive early game, picking something more defensive like the Karma, more team fight enabling like the Karma seems really good. And I expect them to pair it up with something like an Ezreal in this R3.
Yeah, Karma Ezreal is a very potent bottom lane duo. And, looking at CB Rush's first 3 picks here, I am very fearful for Akuma. I mean, you got a better AD carry and you have the same mid jungle from last game. So it's a bit scary. You're going to pair up the Karma with the Twitch. And it seems like Akuma just want to flip the game. You know what I mean? Like they picked the Draven last game for bot lane. This game they're picking Twitch. They kind of just, I don't know. That's my perspective from the draft. I don't know.
Again, CB Rush, they have everything that they want, right? Sivir, a fantastic pick on the patch. The Xin Zhao and the Silas both looked disgusting last game. But I do like Karma. It looks good. It's more of a defensive champ, like I was saying. And the Twitch, that is actually the best counter pick champion into the Sivir, I believe. Maybe there are a couple matchups that are slightly higher win rate. But this is a classic counter pick for Sivir that... so it is, and it also looked like to be a comfort pick for Akuma's bottom lane. So it does seem a little weird. It doesn't really fit with all the pieces they have so far, but it is comfort and a good matchup into that Sivir. So I don't mind seeing it here. I think it actually is pretty good, but it's interesting to see where these bans are going. We're scared of Engage. We're scared of the hard Engage to pair with the Xin Zhao and the Sivir. That makes sense. The Rel is sort of less popular champion, I'd expect.
I played a game of Rel and solo queue the other day. It felt crazy.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I mean, you are the support expert, as everyone says.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, of course.
So the Nautilus, another one of those lockdown champions. They want to let this Twitch sort of go crazy, have the space to do it, and they actually expect this Karma to be a flex pick, and they CB Rush is actually going to ban out 2 supports here. I mean,
I was kind of thinking the same thing, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Zilean can play mid as well. I know that Hecarim Zilean is a pretty solid mid jungle combination, but I guess we'll have to see. There's still 2 picks left. Red 4 coming in for Akuma.
Yeah, I think if they were planning on flexing that pick, they are going to opt out of it now, unless it's the Pantheon Twitch bottom lane.
That could be crazy.
Absolutely could be crazy. I mean, that's a lot of kill pressure, but the Sivir can just kind of spell shield every single engage from the Pantheon. Still a lot of damage comes out when you block that stun, but without the stun, it sort of loses a lot of the pressure that it sort of had to gain from the engage. But Twitch
Mhm.
Pantheon, if they go double Hail of Blades, they have a lot of early game pressure.
Oh,
And
whoa,
uh,
Braum. I
Braum
don't.
very good here.
Yeah,
Very good. Creates
you
space for
liking
the
it?
Sivir in the late game, creates space for the Silas, and there's a bunch of melees to help stack the Braum passive, and it completely
Oh,
negates the Twitch ultimate, and the set gets through again.
somehow they just CB Rush just upgraded their comp somehow.
Yeah,
They
with
they
that blue side.
yeah, I mean it wasn't even like it didn't even they even use blue side to upgrade the comp. They just, like they just first picked the same two characters that they picked in game number 1, but this time they're getting Sivir Braum, which is I think just an objectively better bottom lane than the what was it, Vayne Alistar.
Yeah. Yeah,
As much as I
absolutely.
love Vayne, you
Yeah,
know.
with this melee stack comp, having the Sivir ult to speed up the Xin Zhao, the Silas, the Set, and even the Braum. This is a really, really powerful team that CB Rush has drafted here. But it looks like Akuma has sort of leaned into comfort picks. They've got a lot of champions that have good matchups into their lane opponents. So they're looking to sort of turn around that early game pressure that was sort of on them in the last game. As long as they're able to track the Xin Zhao, they still have a way to get ahead and get the win here.
Yeah, and I mean, as you mentioned before, all of the onus is on Hunter Wolfsteel. Akuma has to track him because if they don't track him, we're gonna see a complete repeat of what happened last game, where this Jin Zhao is ganking everyone, literally winning every single lane for his team. And if Akuma Shurikens want a chance to push this to game 3, they have to make sure that that doesn't happen.
But it seems like they're confident, right? Akuma, they think they can do it. They know that they are good enough players to stop this from happening because they just let him get the same draft again. They said, all right, you guys got lucky last time. We didn't see the Xin Zhao. You got one good gank and it set the entire game wrong. So we're going to just go again, take the same draft. We don't care. And we're going to beat you with our comfort champions and our confidence.
They're feeling it. And I've definitely been in situations like this where you get smashed game 1 and you're like, it wasn't really the draft diff, it was just like us playing bad, you know what I mean? And I'm not gonna lie, I don't think that's what happened. I think that CB Rush just completely outplayed them, and obviously Jin Zhao was a big part of that, but I think that yeah, I don't think the champions were that much of an issue.
Okay, well, I am noticing as we're locking in champs that I am a support player and very biased towards the cool stuff being in my lane. The Pantheon as the mid lane pick makes a lot more sense, and I'm just now processing that now. Great to the Silas, right? Has the early game threat on the Silas, and just like last game, is a winning matchup. But if the Xin Zhao gets involved, I don't really know if the 2v2 is in the favor of that Pantheon Hecarim. Do you think they're going to be able to dance with the Xin Zhao Silas? I feel like that's hard. I mean, you get the
It
one
does
shot
feel
if you have the
hard.
horse
It
there in
does feel
time.
hard. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it depends on how the fight goes, right? If they can get on to one person, they
Mhm.
can direct all their spells and all their damage at one person, then they can
Mhm.
win. But a lot of the times it's not as simple as that.
Mhm.
And I think in a more chaotic situation, um the Xin Zhao and the Silas should be
Mhm.
victorious.
Yeah, and then looking down at this bottom lane, we know the Twitch is a good matchup, but the poke coming out from the Karma it's not going to stick as effectively because we've got the barrier coming in from the Sivir and the wall coming out from the Braum. The poke's not going to matter as much for this matchup. I'm going to look for very aggressive Karma play to sort of create
Yeah.
space for this Twitch to be able to get an advantage down here because I think this is where they're going to need it. If this Pantheon isn't able to probably solo kill the Silas in the first 4 or 5 levels, we have to look down towards the bottom lane um, for the side of Akuma here.
Yeah, and just another reason why this Braum pick is so good is that his shield can completely negate the Twitch ulti.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So Twitch is just gonna be biting on granite there. I don't know how the interaction works with Lilia, like the bowling ball, if it still spreads behind him when it hits
I think
the
it does.
wall
I
or the
think
shield.
it's like it hits the wall, right? And if it hits a piece of terrain, it would
Okay.
continue to spread behind it, I believe. But
But
we'll
either
have to
way,
keep our eye out for it.
yeah, this Braum pick is really good.
Mhm.
We do see the drafts finalized now. Is there anything you want to say before we throw it to a break?
I think that's about it. I think Akuma's got to take their 2 horses and they got to run over the competition here.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see if Akuma's able to run over the competition or if CB Rush is going to take it in 2-0 fashion. Don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss it. And we are back on to the Rift for game number 2. between CB Rush and Akuma Shurikens. We got a little side switch here, but before we maybe they might look for a little invade. Now, on the blue side, we got CB Rush this game. Pip on the set in the top lane. Hunter Wolfsteal on the Jin Zhao in the jungle. Rutledge taking the Silas in the mid lane again, and Glacial and Insanity rounding it out with the Sivir and the Braum in the bottom lane.
And on the red side, as we get a little invade coming out, Flash burned early. That's going to be very important for this Pantheon. And who is playing that Pantheon? It's Alive for Akuma Shurikens on the red side, Claymore in the top side, Skiko on that Hecarim in the jungle, and Fahu and Stebby in the bottom lane. And that flash is very, very important here. Akuma needs to get this mid lane ahead, needs to shut Rutledge down. We saw what he does on the Silas if he has the chance to scale. And without that early game advantage, with the threat of Hunter Wolf coming to that mid lane, that is very, very... It's not a great look for Akuma here for that early game.
And just to add on to the importance of the flash on Pantheon, that's a lot of how Pantheon actually gets in for these, early solo kills, is that flash W.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And like we were saying, the other win condition, right? I wanted to see Akuma get Hunter Wolf off this early game jungler. He's still on that Xin Zhao. The other thing that I wanted to see was early game vision control, some early invades, so we know where the Xin Zhao's pathing. And if we take a look at their vision, they have no idea where he started or where he's heading. So Akuma going to be completely blind here, but that matchup for Alive in the mid lane is looking pretty good.
Yeah, that early level 2 seems to be helping a lot here. And early level 2 in the bottom lane for CB Rush is Stebby. Gonna get tagged with that Braum Q. Has to flash away. Otherwise, probably would have died. I would have to imagine. A lot of damage can come out from the Sivir in this early game. What I do want to mention though is this a cull start for Glacial.
Yeah. A cull start. Expecting not a lot of aggression to come out of this lane. Just farm it out. He did pick up that cull in the last game as well, so thinks the item is very powerful. But those two summoners, that's gonna take away from the Karma's ability to sort of get aggressive poke, get the auto text, and get the reduced cooldown on that mantra. So really, really good play for CB Rush. It's gonna be really hard for Akuma to do much of anything in this bot side now. They're gonna have to look to other places on the map.
Oh, as Claymore is gonna get pulled back in and stunned. Not enough damage to kill yet, as Pip took teleport in this game. Actually, did he take?
He took Ignite last game.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
double Ignite coming out from the mid lane, and then double TP coming out. But Hunter will steal on this gank again. Alive could be in trouble. Has to use that W to get the stun out, but the Ignite is ticking, but it's not enough damage. And Alive absorbs that early gank. Oh, Flash! Wendy comes landing with the knockup. Oh, okay, that was kind of slick.
And first blood over to Rutledge. Yeah, I was gonna say Hunter Wolf choosing to keep his flash there, not finishing off that kill, but uses it in the end. The wind becomes lightning coming out, tagging him, and getting that charge in to finish up the kill. And that's first blood going over to Rutledge. That flash that we had to blow in the early game, really, really mattering. And just like we saw in the first game, I expect a Hunter Wolf to regank right back to this lane before this flash is up to get Alive even further behind here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, we see Hunter will still working his way up into this top lane. And, Claymore's on this Lily, a pretty squishy champ, and has no mana.
He dove top last time.
Could dive again, as we see a lot of trading back and forth, and this wave's going to crash. We'll see if they have to go for it, and it looks like they will. Claymore does have the flash available. We'll see under the tower. Hunter will still tanking it, as Pip is going to find the kill. Hunter will still is going to go down, though, to the last tower shot. But, either way, I think that's a good play because... Well, actually, Claymore has the TP to get back.
That's what I was going to say. Just like game one, they go for this trade under the turret. They get the kill in the top laner. But it's not nearly as lane ruining and honestly game ruining as it was in the last one because of that teleport in the top side for Claymore. So he teleports back. He gets the XP. He might get the cancel here. Ooh, very, very good. Is going to be able to get a wave pushed in and probably get the teleport out of Pip.
Yeah, I know. Stebby getting tagged again. Does not have flash this time on the Karma. Will burn that heal early. But look at the damage traded back onto Glacial. It's taken pretty low. As Fahu does have that lethal tempo activated. Going to get stunned by the Ricochet. For the time being, no casualties in this bottom lane. But very aggressive trading back and forth, and some summoner spells traded as well.
Yeah, the extended trades go in the favor of that lethal Timbo Twitch. He gets to apply all those stacks and then pop the E there and do a lot of burst damage that Sivir really can't handle. But speaking of not being able to handle, a horse coming in, but a counter gank.
2v2 in the mid lane as Rutledge going to get knocked back with a devastating charge alive, taking really low, and he's going to go down here as the level 6 comes through for Rutledge, takes the onslaught of shadows, and it is just too clean to the double kill for Rutledge.
There's a reason he is blind picking this character every game. First pick, blue side Silas, and he's just going to come in and demolish another 2v2 with that quick scale of the ultimate, that quick steal, and the quick use of the onslaught of shadows. Rutledge is a monster.
Yeah, Rutledge is playing out of his mind right now as Claymore gonna put Pip to sleep. We'll see if there's anything that's gonna come from this besides just a little bit of damage. Is now Claymore posturing pretty aggressively here. Pip is very low.
Flash.
Does have the ult. Does have the flash. As the autos are coming through.
Sticking.
There we go. Haymaker comes back. And the final Q from Lilia. I don't know what was happening there.
He just stood there and took it. He just got hit.
I was expecting like a flash ulti back into the tower or something, but like
3D chest, and then Lilia just hits him. Just kills the guy.
Happened. Yeah,
Pip
nothing
was
happened.
thinking too hard there.
I think I was thinking too hard as well. I don't know. I mean, that was a little bit weird, but nonetheless, Claymore is now sitting at 2-1, has all the kills.
I mean, that teleport making all the difference, right? Instead of coming back a level down, 2 levels down, even as he was last game, he gets the XP, he gets to spend his gold, he actually gets to cancel Pip's recall, right? So that teleport really, really helps him out in this lane, and is now, as we expect, sort of the pressure shifting away from that top side. The Lily is probably going to be able to hold it, but as the pressure shifts away from there, it comes down into the bottom side. A great ward. Most likely stop the pressure of this gank.
Yeah, that was an Omega ward by Stebby right there. But, Skyko is in this top side now, and Pip's going to be caught in this 1v2 situation. No lilting lullaby, but the devastating charge is going to get canceled out by the showstopper. Pip, it's a 2-man, but the Haymaker comes down not too much as the Pantheon ultimate coming. Oh no, stolen Pantheon ultimate from Rutledge is going to make sure that his top laner stays alive from that gank by just burning the flash.
Yeah, Pip doesn't really have the damage to turn those 1v2s, right? He has to go Mercs first for this Lilia matchup, and Akuma picking this matchup, right? They know that the set is possible, something they wants to play, and think Lilia is a good matchup for it. Like we said, going for comfort champs, trying to win their lanes, and with that teleport, with the space it's created, forces the set to start a defensive item, which is really not where he wanted to go. Had that Iron Spike whip in the last game, right? Like, he wants to play aggressively. He wants to be able to take these 1v2s, and he can't do so yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were seeing kind of these small things, kind of extend and have bigger consequences as the game continues on. And that's just one of those right there.
Absolutely. But Akuma still is behind in this game by a couple thousand gold. They need this Pantheon to get something done. Right now, there's been more Pantheon ults coming out from the Silas than there have been from the from Alive. So we have to see this Pantheon get active on the map, or at least start winning his own lane. And it looks hard because Rutledge is so far ahead.
3-0 on the Silas, and Alive is, been dead more than he's been alive in this game. But nonetheless, the Herald was started and taken by Hunter Wolfsteal, so that some of those plates are going to get taken down, and Claymore could be in trouble here, but Pip is just a little too far away. It's Claymore gonna get jumped on by Hunter Wolfsteal, knocked up, does have the Iron Spike whip for some extra damage, but I don't really think much is gonna come from this. Is the lullaby still available? But Claymore's walking back in with the Crescent Guard, and damage is enough. The sleep doesn't matter because he's out of the tower range. What was that?
And Hunter with some great acting there, right? Gets the mark, but doesn't take it immediately. Convinces the Lilia that it didn't hit, so he pretends like he walks away, pretends to not be interested, and then comes back in once his cooldowns are back up and gets that kill onto Claymore. And they're choosing not to pop the Herald here. They say, Pip, you're going to be fine in this top side. We want to get rid of this mid turret. We want to get Rutledge even further ahead.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
I mean, I like it. I think that once this mid tower goes down, it opens up the map ridiculously. And you have 3 members from both teams in this lane to flash away from Alive here as the fight comes through. Oh, a Braum ultimate knocks up 3 as Herald's going to charge in, and there's only one tower plate left on this mid lane tower. He's alive, going back in onto Rutledge. Going to get the heal back for the time being. Now, all 5 members of CB Rush are in this mid lane. They want this tower dead.
I mean, the second a mid turret falls, the pressure that you get into both sides of the enemy jungle is massive. But it's really hard to break through a mid turret against 3 members while it has all of the extra resistances from those broken plates. So I think, and then 0 minions. The Sivir was tanking, and then the Set was tanking. So it's going to be a bit of a weird macro choice coming out, but it's going to let a little bit more gold fall into the pockets of the Lilia, into the pockets of Fahu. So, odd choice, but with a 3,000 gold lead, you have a little bit of space to make some odd choices.
Yeah, and you know, the second dragon of the game coming up, it's an Infernal, so we're not going to see Infernal Rift again like we did last game. But now Pip and Claymore going at it here. Facebreaker, Haymaker, combination's going to not do too much. But Claymore is just a menace on this Lilia right now, able to just kind of get away with a lot of aggression just due to the fact that, you know, he is ahead. He does have 2 kills, and Skyko is in this top side.
Yeah, that horse duo. Pretty hard to threaten this guy on the top side, so Skyko is going to head back to base, but we're threatening mid lane here. No flash.
Alive. Goodbye, alive. You're not alive anymore. As Rutledge killing spree.
Getting unalived over and over again, and this mid lane turret, low health again. Are they going to look to play the dragon, or are they look to finish off this mid lane turret?
Both.
Skyko's here. Both at the same time.
Both. BOF. As Claymore gonna get dragged under tower, gonna take a few extra tower shots there, but mid lane tower falls. Dragon will go over to CB Rush as well, and 5,000 gold lead at 12 minutes. Not quite as big as it was in game 1, but you know, it's still very, very prevalent.
Yeah, Hunter Wolf not being able to make as much happen as the last game, but what he did make happen was this massive mid lane advantage. Rutledge hard carrying again. I'm feeling like it's about Magi's time, but we're feeling a little less confident while Claymore has the gold up in that top side. But the fact that this mid tower is already dead means Rutledge can go wherever he wants and do whatever he wants.
Oh, Skyko. Oh, gets out, but Rutledge flashes in. He said, "You're not getting out." Now it's Alive's turn.
Alive is no damage.
Hunter Will steals in the area, and the wind does not become lightning as Alive's going to get chained. Good night. It is a double kill for Rutledge. Basically a 1v2. Hunter Will Steal is just there for the moral support.
Rutledge can do anything. This enemy jungle on both sides of the map is going to start getting lit up. Skyko's going to have a really, really hard time to farm. Akuma needs to find a way to get Claymore into a fight and using that gold that he has. But the second you leave the set alone in lane, he's going to knock down plates. He's going to get himself gold, and he's going to get back into it. He's already up in CS in this matchup where he should be losing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I figured, and we knew coming into this this matchup that CB Rush was going to be the favorite, but I didn't expect it to be this much of a favorite. You know what I mean?
I mean, what we were talking about, right? CB Rush, they had a rough matchup. They had some subs in, but they want to be contesting for the top half of this tournament. There are 2 teams tied for first currently. CB Rush wants to be up there alongside them. So, I mean, this is the exact kind of showing you want to have versus one of those teams that are currently not in the running for playoffs, right? This is what you want to say. We are this much better than them that we are coming for the top teams. We're not middle of the pack. We're not messing around. We are not even close to these people, and we are slamming them in every game.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're a CB Rush fan, it's very, very good to see Pip and Claymore going to be going back at it here. I mean, you know, I don't think anything. I mean, this is pretty much what's been happening the entire game.
They just hit each other until one of them has low health, and the turret makes the difference. Oh.
Okay, sleep.
Burn, though.
Claymore taking the tower for, I think, 3 tower shots there. Oh, flash out of the tower! Is it enough? Tower shot back? No.
The fastest horse.
Going on the Hunter Will Steal. We'll see if they have the damage. The flash comes through from Insanity. Glacial Fissure is a bit wide, but here we go. Under the tower we go.
Rutledge is here.
Rutledge just joined the party, and he's tanking, but he's going to go down as the shutdown goes over to Twitch. As the teleport now comes in, Claymore joining the party, but it's a 1v3 in this bottom lane as Glacial Popsy on the
doesn't have any health.
He has no HP. What is his TP?
He had to help. He had to do something, but he doesn't have that lilting lullaby. He doesn't really have a way to do anything, and this bot lane turret's gonna fall down too. Yeah, I mean, it's rough, right? It's really, really hard. Rutledge is diving turrets like an absolute psychopath. That's why he probably did pick up the Magi's. Does get the Dark Seal now, but he is so scary to deal with. But everything has there always a silver lining, right? The bounty goes over to Fahu. That's exactly where you want it. That's your carry this game, and if they can find a team fight where they can get past the Braum shield, they can shred this mostly not tanky lineup from CB Rush's side.
Yeah, and you know, you gotta juice the Twitch if you're Akuma, right? And that's exactly what they got. Uh oh, Skyko getting Blasco down by 2.
That's not his jungle.
He is just dead. Yeah, this is not your jungle anymore. You're down 8,000 gold.
I have a question for you, Mr.
Okay.
Chains.
Yes.
Do you think that Kempuk Chainsword is a good first item?
Well, I think Claymore is having an issue. That's what I think right now.
Yeah, Claymore trying to defend the outer turret, trying to say, I think we're pretty strong. Remember with the flash?
Alive!
Lullaby.
Making it happen. Going to sleep. Hunter Will Seal is
He's
burning.
Yeah! Has to die. Has to die.
No
way.
The kill from Glacial Triumph Heal is broken. You know, if Skyko had hit him, he would have died. He wouldn't have gotten as much of a Triumph Heal. We're gonna take a look at this replay.
The dash coming in over the wall. Lilia trying to defend her turret, trying to hold on to some sort of structure so they could stop invading, but they've sent 4 members. You can't defend this turret. The cancel on the Eek. It's just crazy. Immaculate. That bit of damage would have killed him. Every little dodge matters here, right? Hunter Wolf playing this really well to survive. Claymore, honestly, looking a little tilted, just wants to get 1 kill and isn't able to do it because the bounties and the triumph heals. It's a tragedy. Claymore is like, what happened to my team? The map is on fire. I was winning my lane. I was winning. GG, my team.
Team diff.
As they're trying to defend their jungle, they're trying to get 1 ward. You just can't do it, man. Stevie's Mia pinging everyone. That was his 2nd death. What happened this game? What's going on? A 3-stack dragon at 18 minutes. A 10,000 gold lead at 18 minutes.
It's like those solo queue games where like you're doing fine bot lane, you're like 1-0 or something, and you look in your top half has like 30 deaths, and you're like, wait, how did this happen? Oh man, this can't be good.
He gets hit.
Oh yeah. Oh, Skyko into the mid lane outside of shots, but he has no resistance. He's gonna get knocked up, stunned. Good night, sir. As Hunter Wolfsteal goes on a killing spree. He wants more. Fahu under the tower will fall. It's a beautiful locket. Will give some extra shielding there, and on the bottom side,
they're just diving turrets across the entire map. They're probably gonna dive this one too. The Lilia's pretty threatening though.
More. Stunned under the tower, exhausted as well. Lilting lullaby onto 3. It's a big sleep action coming out, but no one's gonna fall yet.
I mean, this game's rough, right? It's hard to figure out exactly what Akuma could do. It looks like nothing. They're getting dove on different turrets at the same time. Massive bounties from those 2nd turrets. They give so much local gold, like an absolutely disgusting amount. So Silas is like going to pick up his 3rd item here, probably just slamming the Magi's because he doesn't care. This 2nd Herald we were talking about, just like last game, the buffs are made for breaking inhibs and ending a game that you're this far ahead in.
Yep. And that's what you gotta love, right? You know, adding in that snowball factor, making it even easier to kind of end the game when you have that opportunity.
And that was a big thing people were complaining about, right? When the durability patch first came out, every single team was like, okay, I'm going to pick scaling champs, I'm going to give you the first 2 dragons, and I'm not going to care about it. I'll see you at the 3rd one, and we'll be ready to team fight when I'm on 2 items. But now, these early game dragons give more stats, the heralds are more threatening, so it's a lot easier if you say, well, I'm just a better team than you, to win all your lanes, get those objectives, and just slam down a base. And we're seeing Akuma get slammed in this one, to be honest. 12,000 gold lead, 3 dragons to 0, 18 to 4 kills, and they just have to decide where they want to send this herald, and it'll be an inhib.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it will be an inhib. They have that Herald, and I imagine it's going to be mid, right? Because that just seems to be
Hmm.
the theme is Rutledge, and
Absolutely, Rutledge is the star
oh,
player here.
Claymore is going to get stunned. Should go down. Onslaught of Shadows is pretty nice. Going to buy some time as the sleep gets put onto 3 members. Oh, shutdown
That's a
comes through onto
bounty.
Glacial. We'll see what happens as Pip going at Skyko on the back side. He's going to fall. And Hunter will see now 1v3 under the tower in this mid lane. Rutledge joined the party as well. Going to take away that Karma ulti. That's a mantra Q for good measure. Flashing in under the tower. Will go on a killing spree and take down Stebby alive. The last member standing as the Herald's going to be popped to take down this mid lane inhibitor tower. Face breaker haymaker combination is true, and the ace comes through for CB Rush. They have the Herald, and this inhib has fallen. Still 10 seconds on most of the, or at least 10 seconds on most of these members for Akuma, and they're looking to end the game off of this Herald. One Nexus Tower has fallen. Skyko, Omega Speed coming in. Does they have what it takes? No, Skyko's just going to get one-shotted. Claymore, what do you have? No Lilting Lullaby, that's for sure, but now Rutledge has it as Fahu is invisible. Oh, okay. Oh, the bowling ball from Lilia's
That's a bounty.
Wilson's gonna go golden for Gold Drinker. He's alive.
No way!
Exhausted.
Hunter Wolf healing in every single fight. He's still going in. He's still getting bounties. He's still alive. There's a Pantheon. Hunter Wolf is a psychopath, and it shows. Oh my gosh, an absolute... Hunter Wolf playing like an absolute maniac, slamming this early game, slamming the last early game. Rutledge playing a great game himself. It's going to be the end. We see Akuma's team just running in, trying to slow it down, trying to stop it, but they're not going to be able to. And that's going to be the series 2-0 in favor of CB Rush.
Dude, if that happens, man, I'm mental blooming.
That's an Alt F4 before the game ends.
If I can't kill that Genzel like that, I'm Alt F4ing, dude. I'm so tilted at that point.
I had to go play some Minecraft. I need to chill out. No more League tonight. It's gonna be a rough solo queue session.
I'm playing Minecraft. I'm going into creative mode. I'm just building a sad face or something. I don't know. But nonetheless, big win for CB Rush to put them, kind of just to propel them up into the top of the standings there. And I don't know. I mean, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely, right? CB Rush wants to say, hey, we're not middle of the pack. We're 2-1 right now. We want to look to be an upper echelon team. We don't want to be in the middle. We don't want to look like we're even. So now 3-1, that's a much better, much more impressive, right? So that one loss, you ignore it. You had some subs, doesn't matter as much. We're looking at the future. We are a powerhouse team, and everyone should respect us. And that's what they showed today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we are going to try and get an interview. But until then, we're going to take a short break and try to get that figured out. So we will be right back. Don't go anywhere because you won't want to miss this interview with one of the members from CB Rush. And we are back with the winning jungler for today, Hunter Wolfsteal. Welcome to the stream, first of all.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I'm super excited.
Yes, and congratulations on the win. I can just start it off here as what were you guys expecting coming into this game?
Well, the first thing that I was told was that they got a new mid laner, which sucks. So they're gonna.
Mhm.
We knew they were gonna be kind of off their game, but this was a little bit more than we expected, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, coming into it again, we figured they would be a little weaker, a little bit more of like a stomp, but we after bringing me in, we've kind of built a lot of synergy between like me and Rutledge, just the rest of the team. So I think we've just been going with like that direction. They just had a weaker like mid jungle, especially game one. Their picks were kind of off.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about in the drafts. It seemed like the mid lane matchups were in favor of Akuma. They were trying to sort of bully that Silas pick, that early, very confident looking Silas pick, by the way. But once you get to the 2v2, once you add the Xin Zhao to the mix, it was much more in your guys' favor. Are you a big fan of that Xin Zhao pick? I was looking for sort of a ban on it. You looked very, very good on it. Is that sort of the only place champion in that playstyle, or do you play things like the Jarvan? Is there anything else, or is that sort of your standard strategy in the mid lane?
So I have a bunch of picks up my sleeve. A lot of I just haven't shown, but I find Zhao to be pretty good right now, especially into certain comps. So like for instance, they showed. See, let me pull up game one draft. Like they showed like Cassid and Darius Leona, and that's for me. That's triple melee. I have a Silas. I want strong 2v2. I'm good with the Xin Zhao. And then the same thing kind of happened game two, where we just we picked Silas. They showed Hecarim and Karma, and I'm like, okay, I'll just pick Xin Zhao here. It's fine. It also saves more picks for tomorrow, for like other games as well. Be spicy, but yeah, I was not a big fan of their game one draft. It just felt super off with like a B1 Leona into Cassid and Darius, where if you want to play like aggro top or aggro bot like they do like with Draven, then you really need something stronger mid to be able to like move around the map. Zach is fine in a vacuum, but he's also one of the champions right now.
And do you think sort of the meta in general is moving towards more of that early game priority, getting the buffed heralds and the bigger stat prio dragons? Do you think that's sort of more important factor in the games as we sort of switch to the 12.4 meta?
I kind of think so. I think a lot of the time, like it's coming more into like team fights, especially for these dragons, since they're so much tankier. It's a lot harder to like either sneak them or do them with like one or two people. Especially solo as a jungler, it becomes way harder. So like having more people and actually winning a fight to be able to secure it is becoming way more important. Especially, and I think the meta's been like this for a while. Especially like mid prio or like just mid matchups in general are extremely important. So that's why like Cassin just feels really off. He's so slow for what they want to do around the map, and they don't really accomplish a lot. Like even bot lane, they had a little bit of a CS lead, but they didn't really do much with it.
Yeah, and as you're talking about the sort of importance of that mid matchup to the sort of the flow of the map, how things work, what does Silas lose to then? You're so confident in this pick, it seems, right? You're confident to blind pick it in any matchup, right? So, what is the weak point of this champion? How do we get through it? How do we beat you guys? Or is that a secret that you guys you can't let us in on?
Well,
as just built different.
Well, he's definitely built different, but favorite patch 12.10 where you just they or like 12.10, 12.12 with nerf all healing. Pretty good patch for Silas, I would say. But I think there are picks into him, or at least neutralize him to win lane, like do better. But we looked at their pool and like he probably doesn't have any picks to actually beat it. So that's why the adaptation from game 1 to game 2 was just B1 Silas, because we knew they didn't have anything to it, and we were super confident that he was just going to win lane, or at the very least like be able to move around the map with me. That's why we also ran back the Zhao matchup.
Yeah, absolutely makes a lot of sense. The counters to the Silas are countered themselves by the Xin Zhao. So honestly, great performance out of you. Is there anything else that you would like to add and tell the fans, the viewers at home, about your team, about anything going forward into the rest of the tournament?
Well, I just want to point out that in week 1, or I think it was week 1, we were ranked like 15 out of 16. Don't know where that happened. Don't know why Glacial gets bashed every postings, like the Wednesday power ranking. Don't know why. He's definitely underrated, and he definitely has a lot more he's going to show. But yeah, I don't know why he gets bashed there. Like our team was ranked lower. I expect us to be way higher, but
Yeah,
we'll see how that
absolutely.
goes.
What we were talking about was you guys, you want to fight to be in that first place position. You have the one loss, but that was a fluke. It doesn't matter. You guys are showing that you're dominant and you're pushing for the upper echelon of teams here, and it seems like that's what you want to do.
Mhm.
I think that's all I have for you. Any questions, Ryan?
No, I mean, I think I'm good here. Great job. Congratulations on the victory. And, I look forward to seeing more from you guys pretty soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Have a good night, guys.
You too, you too. And that is going to do it for our stream this Wednesday night. We're going to be rating CCS for the mainstream to see their matchup going on there as they got Nameless Love Stage taking on MNG Raijin Storm. Hope you guys enjoyed. I've been Raj Chase, joined by Bob Joseph. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next week for some more CCS Wednesday action.